I think we regard ourselves as very lucky, both within business and being in the Western world. So I think it was a sense of obligation to help those that are worse off. And I think that's been the driving force. So I am Stephen Hynes, and together with my brother Michael, we have a company, Hynes Group of companies. We have 4 different businesses. And we are very fortunate to be in a position to support and sponsor some of the World Vision projects. And I'm very lucky because I had the opportunity recently to go back with my girlfriend Jill for the 2nd time to visit some of these projects. Back in Uganda, we went to Masaka and we were able to see the clean water and sanitation project that we'd been sponsoring for a few years, and to see the enormous benefits that those communities are getting from our support there, and from, I'm sure, from the support of a lot of other very good Australians. And it's just making such a huge impact on them. And it's always very good to go back, and humbling to go back to these places and see the benefits that they're getting. At the school where Jill and I went to, they've got this, I think it was a 10,000 litre water tank running off the school roof that World Vision, of course, had given the school. So all of a sudden, more kids in the community are enticed to go to school and further their education. The families see benefit in that. From the water being there, they're able to mix that with oats and barley and the other stuff that they use, maize and the other products that they grow. The kids get a lunch they otherwise wouldn't get, and because the water source is there at the school. Sung us some great songs and a lot of applause, and a young boy that got up and spoke, and he would be no more than 7 or 8, and he welcomed us and he thanked us, and it was just so touching. And he spoke about thank you for the water tank and what it means to the school.
Before we had the following challenges: moving longer distance to get water, diseases which were due to dirty contaminated water, accident to and from where we get water, like a snake bite, because we passed through the bush.
So in the communities where this young boy got up and spoke, it was so touching. His teacher, a young man called Frank, he was crying because of the appreciation, and he was so proud of his students standing up there talking.
We have clean and safe water at school. No more diseases which were common, like diarrhea and cholera. Improvement in academics, because the time we are spent in fetching water is used in reading books.
I think it's important for businesses to appreciate that World Vision are just so aware of what's needed to be effective. And I think there's a lot of cynicism out there because people just don't know any better. You know, we're going into places where World Vision are working with the community to solve things longer term. You know, they're making sure that the solutions that are in place are sustainable, and sustainable by the community.
Once we are assisted and guided, we can do the work ourselves. We challenge ourselves when we gather. What have you done? What have you done? And we visit one another to see the improvement. So those are the benefits of gathering together, which we have it in your effort or in your kindness. They take 2 weeks to emerge.
I think that what World Vision do wonderfully is that they don't take a Western mentality over and just fly in and fly out. They engage at such grassroots level. So the World Vision team in Uganda, who are sensational, they're so committed, they're so enthusiastic, but it's almost like World Vision apply a localised or African mentality to the African problems. We also spent some time in Kammengo, Nkozi, to visit some of the projects that World Vision are starting and in the midst of, with regards to income generation and some microfinance. One of the most immediate people that touched us was a young girl called Resty, and she was a beneficiary of the income generation program, and she had suffered from polio as a young girl. So at the age of about 9, she lost the use of her legs. There is no doubt that her conditions come about because she wasn't immunised against cholera, malaria, polio type of thing. She doesn't know. And she has, through her time, managed to have a child as well. So the difficulty she had was getting water. She would on her arms carry herself down 3 kilometres through this broken road, pushing a jerry can in front of her as she goes. And then after a period of time, World Vision were able to recognise the difficulty that she was under, and they made this. They found this wheelchair for her that's operated by hand, so she can propel herself down. So she would put the jerry can in the back of this wheelchair, get down the 3K and come back. The community further recognised her as got together and recognised her as a beneficiary, and they gave her a water jar, which is a 1,500 litre water tank, that she now collects the rainwater from her roof and gets some fresh water. So now, because of that, she no longer has to travel the 3 kilometres down to the unprotected water source. And the community they got together and recognised her as a beneficiary for the income generation, where she does some pig farming as best she can, and she'll do beads and sell them.
So she's like saying, find much as they go to those trainings on coming, making Christmas cards, these necklaces, and then success cards. She has the knowledge, but the capital to come up with the initiative, coming up with buying the necessities to start the real making of the necklaces.
There's no doubt people like Resty and others get a lift up, and all they need is that initial start-up capital, because they've got the drive and the ideas. She's a very tough girl and needs, she deserves all the admiration she gets. And I'm sure that my brother and I will continue to work hard to keep ourselves in a position where we can continue to support, because we're passionate believers in the positive work that World Vision does. We've formed some strong connections somehow with the Ugandan people. We feel a connection with them, so we would love to be able to continue visiting and supporting them. There's probably more businesses out there in Australia that should be more open to the fact that they can make a huge difference in the world. They'll never solve it all completely, but they can make a huge difference, and maybe they'll feel better about themselves as either people or a group of people in the case of a company, because it's just good karma. It's almost what you should do to help others who are worse off.